God will not manipulate you and force you to do what He wants you to do. He wants you to grow and learn in wisdom so that He can guide you that way. So many people do not think for themselves. They are shallow thinkers. Even the people who think they are uniquely different are completely mesmerized by some culture here, and they just follow after. Edward T. Hull, a professor of anthropology, said, "Man has put himself in his own zoo. He has so simplified his life and stereotyped his responses that he may as well be in a cage." This act of thinking is greatly modified by culture. Your thinking. Now, thinking is asking yourself questions and answering questions, according to Plato. That's what thinking is. People try to, what is thinking? And so it's so impacted by culture. You know, cultural anthropology, which also be called social anthropology, is the study of human behavior and how it is influenced by other people and the culture they're living in. We know, just from doctors who have studied this, that right from the womb up, there is an enculturation of every individual person, and it's impossible to be free from the influence of culture. But we can become very aware of it, and then we can resist its seduction. Popular culture is one of the most powerful and seductive forces in our lives, and we need to be very aware of it. Solomon was very aware of it. He continually talked about things that put away foolishness. Do not listen to fools. Do not listen to sinners. Do not give in to people who run quickly to lying, stealing, cheating, money, all these things. And he continually gives us this wisdom. Thomas Merton, I'm not quoting religious leaders, I'm just quoting people who have studied this for their lives, this impact that culture has on you, on me. He said, "We must make the choices that enable us to fulfill the deepest capacities of our real selves." The world it can be so deceived to be so conformed, and yet they think they're so unique. Life is literally, for almost the entire population, an exercise in mindless conformity. Romans chapter 12 and verse 2 says, "Do not model your behavior on the contemporary world, but let the renewing of your minds transform you." That word transform in the Greek is the very word where a worm spins a cocoon and becomes a butterfly. It doesn't just become a better worm. A complete transformation takes place. And literally, the Bible, and boy, it is like everywhere when you begin to see this, everywhere, it is all about you beginning to think free, getting your head up out of this culture, this popular culture, getting your head up out of all of the things you've been taught, even in your home. Every one of us comes from a different culture in our home and then our school. Some of us come from different countries. There is so many things that we have been encultured with, and we need to understand something. There is a kingdom culture that completely frees people to be who they are and think, and it's not a religious culture. Religion sucks. I hate religion. Hate it. It's the reason so many people, when you say, "Come on to church," they're going, "Are you kidding me? I'd rather go to the dentist." Sorry to the dentists that are here. Because they don't even know what kingdom culture is. For you and I to begin to live with wisdom. Now this is crucial, because the Bible teaches us that wisdom is the principal thing. People will often say to me, "Wow, you are so lucky. God has so blessed you." And I go, "Are you saying that I'm uniquely blessed?" Well, no, I'm not. God does not pick and choose and have favorites. Okay? He literally, his blessing is upon all of us. And one of the problems with doctrine and in the church is that for every mile of truth, real truth, got 2 miles of ditch. We got one group that doesn't even believe in miracles, so you just hanging in there in this woeful world till you finally get to go home to your reward. Then we got people in the other ditch, and they just are firm believer in miracles. Do what you want, live what you want, make all the dumbest decisions you want, and then just pray for a miracle. That's the lowest level of Christianity, is needing a miracle. There is a wisdom. And that as we begin to develop wisdom, the choices you make are determining your life. And where God wants to get involved in you in a powerful way is choices. You made 2,000, you're going to make 2,000 choices today. Whether or not to stop or run the red, whether or not to eat or not eat. How do you respond to what your wife just said? What do you do with what your son just did? Do you go talk to that person or ignore that person? Do you make the phone call or not make the phone call? You're making choices, and these choices continually take you on a continuum. Some people are on a death continuum because they've never renewed their mind. They've never dealt with the wrong beliefs, the misbeliefs that are so entrenched in their heart. And they walk out this amazing array of bad decisions. I'm not talking to anybody here. So if you look straight forward, no one will know you're getting hit. One of our biggest problems as we talk about this, I'm going to just share a little bit, is our propensity to never want to be wrong. Did you know that a human being today hates being wrong because they attach right or wrong to their identity? So if we talk and I'm wrong, I feel stupid. I feel like you're smarter than me. I feel like... And so because people have to be very secure in their identity to allow people to question their wisdom, to question their knowledge base. And so the Bible teaches us that when you look at this spectrum, fools, they get upset when you question them. A wise man, he leans in, he'll buy you a coffee because this is about to become a great conversation. You have your own opinion. Let's talk. We live in a world that is so conformed that the second someone disagrees with you, you automatically feel like, oh, I'm dumb. You've got to become secure because you are never going to grow until you are open to thinking and you are open to people talking to you and you're open to what they think. The greatest compliment you can give somebody you disagree with is to still look at them with this anticipation and go, I want to know what you think. We as believers need to recognize that if you do not deal with this issue of thinking while you are born again with the Spirit of Christ within your human spirit, and you are alive with more capability and ability than you could ever imagine, it will be completely capped by your inability to think. James chapter 3 and verse 14 says, and by all means, don't brag about being wise and good if you are bitter and jealous and selfish. That's the worst sort of lie. For jealousy and selfishness are not God's kind of wisdom. Such things are earthly, unspiritual, and inspired by the devil. Let's say something right now. There's an educated part of the world who likes to kind of smile in a condescending way when you talk about evil and that there's a dark kingdom, that there's a spirit world where there's a real devil. Now, at the same time, they'll go, oh, yeah, we know through science we have 7 to 11 dispensations. So you'll believe that. Yet you talk to policemen, firefighters, emergency nurses, and doctors, paramedics. I know, because I spent years in that area. And they're very aware through the sickest things they've ever seen. They're very aware there is such evil. People do such disgusting things to one another. There is evil. People often wonder, why is that person doing that? And if you can't see any reasonable reason, there's evil somewhere here. All the way from the Garden of Eden and up. If you study history, they want you to think that before the modern age, they were just wonderfully in caves and teepees, just gathering and nuts and berries and killing meat. It was such a beautiful, simple, pastoral life. Oh no, it wasn't. Read the Bible, read history. It was brutally hellish and horrible. The death, the dying, the killing, the stuff that went on. You can't even preach it on a Sunday morning because kids are present. There is a wisdom that is earthly, sensual, and devilish, and it comes from the dark kingdom. And anytime a born-again believer begins to become self-centered, self-focused, self-grandizing, all about yourself, you begin to give it influence into your life. But then there's a wisdom. It says in verse 17, well, I'll finish verse 16. For wherever there is jealousy or selfish ambition, there will be disorder and every kind of evil. And it says this repeatedly. Book after book all over. Now, verse 17 says, but the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, full of quiet gentleness. Then it is peaceful, peace-loving, courteous. It allows discussion and is willing to yield to others. It is full of mercy and good deeds. It is wholehearted and straightforward and sincere. And those who are peacemakers will plant seeds of peace and reap a harvest of goodness. If you want to judge leaders, verse 17 and 18 from James 3 is what you would judge them by. We're not allowed to judge. You're wrong. You're not allowed to judge their heart, which is their motives and their intentions. But you are commanded to judge their actions and the fruit of their lives. And this way, we can begin to not just blindly stick our head in a hole as a Christian and just go, well, whatever will be, and if it happens, it's God. What a ridiculous, simplistic, unwise look at the Bible. In Psalms 119, verse 98, it says, God, you through your commandments, that word commandments means the wisdom of God, the precepts, the principles. It says, you through your commandments, make me wiser than my enemies, for your words are ever before me. Why would you need more wisdom than the people coming after you if you're not supposed to do anything? What good is it? God just gave you wisdom over any person that ever comes after you relationally, financially, career, physically, just spiritually, you name it. You have more wisdom than your enemies, more wisdom than your teachers, more wisdom than people older than you. Oh, but you're a Christian, so do nothing. Solomon says repeatedly that wisdom is the principal thing. And he will teach you principles all through the book of Proverbs, the wisdom books, and then all through the New Testament. And these principles are amazing. They're stunning. Now, here's the thing. The blessing of God is upon you as a born-again believer because Jesus qualifies you. But you can do unwise things. And that unwise decision can cause you to miss your destiny, to miss God's best. In Ephesians 2:10 in the Amplified, it says there that God has made a path for you ahead of time and that you should walk in it. He's not going to force you. Freedom comes into such a level that even God will not manipulate you and force you to do what He wants you to do. He wants you to grow and learn in wisdom so that He can guide you that way. And if you do not pursue this wisdom, if you do not see the value of this, you will be absorbed by the present culture that you are in.